What's up, people? Welcome to the first ever Chasing Kilos podcast. If you're joining us on YouTube or Facebook, you'll probably be in for a better treat just because I'll be sharing at least one image with you guys. Yeah. Matt, you want to tell them what this podcast is about?
Yeah. So this is actually pretty new for me and Joey. Neither of us has done a podcast before, but we are both very excited. And this is more geared just for the beginner weightlifter, beginner powerlifter, beginner strength athlete. Even if you're not an athlete, just trying to get into the gym, just like building good habits, getting more comfortable with training, and starting at like a good base level.
Yeah. So why don't you tell, we'll start with you. Why don't you tell the listeners who you are, like pretty much where you're from, where you train and all your background and all that.
Yeah. Nothing too interesting. My name's Matt Ferrara. I grew up in the Berkshires out in Western Mass. Pretty simple background there. I worked on a farm most of my life. Somehow got into training. I don't know how that happened. And then, so I was at school. I started at community college, eventually went to Bridgewater State where I studied strength and conditioning. The reason I ended up going there was I was told that they had a really good weightlifting program, and for the most part, I was not disappointed.
Sweet.
Yeah, ever since then, I've just kind of bounced around. I was in the Boston area. That's where I met Joey, and now I am up in the sticks of New Hampshire.
So I'm Joey Bond. I pretty much grew up just south of Boston, Mass, my whole life. Pretty much same deal as Matt, where I kind of started off in a commercial gym. But from then, I actually don't have any formal education and training. I'm pretty much all self-taught via YouTube and reading a bunch of articles back in my college days. I started working out just because I was always the smallest kid in high school, middle school growing up. So, and then after that, in college, when I was working out, I realized that I was pretty much keeping up with a lot of the bigger dudes. So I started pursuing powerlifting, and then that's what I'm coaching now, and what I hope to coach more of in the future. So just as to help people out who haven't or who aren't as experienced as us in the gym, what would you think would be like a different starting point for, like, how would you assess where someone would start from just off the bat?
Probably more history of activity as opposed to how old they are. I mean, some people are 50 years old, some people are 20, but the 20-year-old could have 10 years of experience moving, 10 years of experience training, whereas the 50-year-old could have never even stepped foot into a gym. So especially just their background, if you got a kid coming from athletics. But yeah, it's just more what your body's used to, and then kind of bridging the gap between there and where you want to get to.
So would you think that like most people should start from the same place, or would you just based off of not even someone who's interested in weightlifting, but someone who's say coming in just off the street and wants to start working out, whether they're an old athlete back like if they're 40 or 50 from their high school or college days, or say someone who's even like, if you flip the situation and they're in their 20s and they've never worked out a day in their life before, would you think of putting them or starting them at the same spot, or progressing differently and all that?
I mean, the same spot in the sense of I all want them to do the same movements. Usually I want you to squat, I want you to pull something, I want you to push something, but it really just depends on what their body can take. So for some person, we might start with a barbell squat. I mean, if you can do it, why not? But for many, and especially if they haven't had a history of moving, we're usually going to start with like a goblet squat or even a body weight squat. So I guess same basic principles, just different tools and different variations.
Yeah, no, I like that. That was pretty much how I treated all of my, like, I guess general population, you call it, clients back when I was in the commercial gym. I would just take the same movements and just progress it or regress it to certain degrees, especially the squat and the deadlift, just because those are such important movements in everyday life.
Absolutely, and I feel like good coaching is more about being able to progress and regress on the fly, anyway. So
Yeah,
it's easy,
definitely.
or like an ideal scenario, but nothing's
Yeah.
ever, unfortunately.
So what would you think is like the number one thing a new trainee would learn off the bat? Like for me, the thing that I taught most of my clients first was how to breathe properly, just
Yeah,
because that plays such a big role in exercising properly. People don't know how everyone's always a chest breather, and they're not bracing their core like they should, and that's actually one of the bigger things that like causes a lot of the exercises to click for people. It's just learning how to breathe and brace properly.
oh,
What
for sure.
about you?
For me, I would probably say how to hinge. Not that that's more important than anything else. It just seems like that comes. Sorry, the puppy. Uh, it just seems like that comes less natural to people as opposed to like teaching a squat, or obviously most guys, if you go to teach them how to push something, they're going to be all right.
Yeah.
For some reason, people struggle with the hinge. And once we kind of plug that in, it opens up so much. Like they can deadlift, they can swing. But you just have so many more options. So I guess I'd probably say the hinge.
So would that be like one of the first exercises that you would teach or you would want people to learn? Because personally, I think it is, but it's like such a difficult exercise for a lot of people.
Right. So yes, but not necessarily through like a deadlift or a swing. Like I said, I mean, some people their first day might be deadlifting with the bar just because they already have experience. But most people, I mean, band pull throughs. It might just be a dowel on their back. But just learning to hinge at the hips is, in my opinion, wicked important. Just because it makes my job so much easier.
Oh yeah, definitely. So besides the hinge, do you have any like exercises that you recommend people start with, or just in general movements that people should learn before, say, progressing onto like a barbell or something like that?
Yeah. So I'm a huge fan of goblet squats, and then to take that a step further, sometimes to a box. I mean, if you're doing a good goblet squat to a box, your form's pretty decent. You're not going to hurt yourself. You're prepping that squat pattern, and then also you're getting the depth out of the way. Because that's another thing is if someone doesn't learn depth right away, it's an uphill battle ever from there.
Yeah.
If you learn like where good depth is right away from the beginning, it'll never become an issue. And other than that, I'd say just learning how to brace your spine. So a lot of like dead bugs.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, that's like my go-to for newer trainees.
Yeah, I like that. Those are actually pretty difficult for even a lot of intermediate people to get right.
Oh, completely agreed. And it's a tough movement to learn on your own and pick up like the fine little nuances. So if you do have a coach, it's great to like get that out of the way.
Yeah. And then just on that, would you think that someone should hire like a coach or a trainer right away, or do you think they should experiment a bit?
I'm torn. I'm torn because I'm stubborn, and I started by experimenting, and that's how I learned. It was definitely not the most efficient way,
Yeah.
but I think I'm better because of that.
Yeah.
But if you don't have like the determination to stick with it and kind of do it the right way and experiment, then I would probably recommend starting with a coach, especially if your goals are loftier or more specific. For example, one of my biggest regrets is teaching myself how to snatch and clean and jerk, because I've spent just years trying to fix the issues that I caused.
Yeah.
But just for the general population, there's nothing wrong with starting on your own and just trying to be self-sufficient, because eventually that's the end goal, you know?
Yeah, of course. Of course. I'm actually, yeah, I'm kind of the same way where it's like you could and you don't have to, and then if you want it enough, you'll end up at the same place,
Agreed.
just time wise.
No, I
Um,
agree with that. I think it depends on how much you want it and what's
yeah.
important to you. Like if your time costs more money and you're just a really busy guy, woman, CEO, and you just don't have time to tinker with that stuff, or it can't be a priority, hire a
Yeah.
coach.
Yeah. I
But
mean, yeah, if you can afford it, because
for
a lot of
sure,
the coach, yeah, they're expensive.
they're not cheap.
Yeah.
No, that's for sure.
But yeah, no, I was like the same way. I got a pretty good chunk of progress just playing by myself, experimenting. But I think that's just because that's the type of person I am.
Right, right.
So I pretty much the same view as you. If you can afford it and if you don't have the time, then yeah, go for it. If you like to play around, then actually, you know what? I think based on what I've seen in the commercial gyms, I think some people need at least an intro session.
Right. Even when I worked at BSC, I used to like getting people for there was that original 3 month commitment. A
Right.
lot of people were like kind of scared off by that, but honestly, I don't know. I just kind of made it my mission in those 3 months to make them self-sufficient, so that when
Yeah.
they left, no, they weren't going to be a power lifter, they weren't going to be a weightlifter, they weren't going to be doing anything insane, but they were going to have like the fundamentals down to be able to do anything that they'd want to, for the most part.
Right. And I don't know about you, but a lot of people who I got like at least once a week on a 3 month commitment stayed for a bit longer.
Right. Oh, for sure. I would say like 80% at least.
Yeah.
Definitely longer.
And then I think all of my people who I left were pretty much self-sufficient by that time. So
Right. Which is cool to see. I mean, that's like my biggest goal as a coach is I don't know. I love seeing like my clients or old clients helping new people. It's
yeah,
cool. Yeah.
and then doing a bunch of exercises that we hate, we gave them anyway.
Exactly.
um, all right, so now that like CrossFit and like strength sports have become so popular on Instagram and social media and all that, what do you think of people like starting with those loaded movements versus say someone starting with body weight or versus someone uh, starting like how a lot of people did a few years ago, just in a bodybuilding style?
Right. I really do think it's important to start with like a good base. And once again, if you're the exception and you already move really well, or you got a background in training, I don't know whether it was like a strength conditioning coach or it's your school, I don't really mind you starting with a loaded barbell. But for 99% of the people, it's probably a better idea to just start with higher reps, more like GPP type programming.
Yeah.
And honestly, like in the long run, even if you're capable of the other stuff, it's going to do better. Like you're
Oh
going to
yeah.
build a little bit of muscle mass that's going to help you out. I mean, no one ever complained about building muscle.
Right.
It's like tendon and joint health.
Yeah.
You'll wish that you did later on.
Oh yeah, definitely. Um, I think if people did want to start in that field though, as an American, I would think that they would have more benefit starting with like a powerlifting base, just because those three movements are a lot easier to understand and have a full grasp over, and they'll have a larger carryover to pretty much any other exercise. But if we were in another country, I definitely recommend the weightlifting route, just because like starting with kids and how they train like GPP style pretty much. That would have a lot more overall benefit to daily life for the general population.
Yeah, and then just having like that movement capacity. Like if you're a weightlifter at a young age, even if you stop weightlifting, if you can still, if you had to get into a snatch, get into a clean and jerk,
Yeah.
I mean, your body moves pretty well.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're definitely not crippled if you can snatch.
Yeah. And then, all right, so here's a pretty loaded question. I think that I don't have as much experience with is what if someone has like gym anxiety? Like, how would you recommend someone overcome that?
Yeah, I mean, that one's so much easier said than done. I would say like most of my clients, most of my female clients, especially at BSC,
Yeah.
just because it was a commercial gym, they had it really bad. And honestly, like I can remember starting off like that, especially as a guy. You're supposed to know how to lift weights,
Yeah. Yeah.
just being self-conscious. The biggest thing to understand though is, especially in a commercial gym, no one knows what they're doing.
True.
They're all just kind of faking it until they make it. So it's not like other people are looking at you being like, "Oh my God, they're doing this so wrong." Usually, they're looking for pointers or looking to see what you're doing so they can copy.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, if you're not in a commercial gym and you're in a place that's a little more serious or a smaller studio or a niche place, those places exist to help people like you. Like they want you to to have to learn, and that's their job. But I guess my biggest thing would be trusting that you're not alone. Everyone else out there that's starting has the same feelings.
I think a big part of it is that no one really is watching you at a commercial gym, or if so, they don't really care. Like I always tell people that I'm the most judgy person in the gym, just because I'm staring at everyone.
Right. Well, honestly, like if you're looking around being like, oh, these people are looking at me, you're probably looking at them more than they're looking at you.
Yeah.
You're probably judging them thinking they're judging you, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I mean, even just stepping into the gym, that's a huge first step. Like, I feel like once you can overcome that fear, then you'll be able to get over a lot of it easier.
Definitely. A lot of times when I had clients that were nervous to come to the gym, my first homework that I'd give them was just getting there. And I
Yeah,
didn't even care what they did. Like if they just came in, used the bathroom, like checked out who was in there and then went home, that was the first step. Just getting comfortable with like the building.
I like that. Yeah, actually, that's good.
Yeah, and it seems silly, but it actually kind of worked.
All right, and then now, I guess the bigger topic that a lot of people want to know is, should they start both their diet and exercise regimen at the same time just to speed up progress? Especially now that we're around the holiday season, do you think it would be in someone's best interest to both just start working out a lot and, I guess, dieting, if that's the right word?
I would say that you can't disconnect the two. If your goals are weight loss and just general health, you can't disconnect the two. But that doesn't mean that you need to go all in 100% with both and have them perfect right from the beginning. Like start with where you are and what you have, and if that means going to the gym and figuring out the diet for the week as it goes, so be it. I'm hesitant to say that you don't have to worry about your diet right away because that's not true at all.
Yeah.
Hesitant to say that you have to nail both things 100%. Because if you're worried about making it perfect, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
So I would say the biggest thing is starting.
Right.
And honestly, once you catch some momentum in one, it'll feed into the other. And then usually they'll kind of catch up and be on par, hopefully.
Yeah. I actually like to have people just focus on creating like a stable exercise schedule for now, just because I feel like if you do both, a lot of people tend to burn out.
Right. Right.
And then also, like, diet is such a difficult thing. Like, I don't know, personally, for me, just tracking my macros every day at like starting to do that was pretty difficult, just because I would never reach my protein goals for the day, and then I'm a high fat eater, so I would always go over on fats.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just think that people should focus on creating like a stable exercise schedule first.
Right. I don't think you're wrong at all. Like it kind of goes off of what we were talking about, the gym anxiety thing, just starting and getting in there.
Yeah.
Honestly, like if you're training and you're in a good groove, at some point you're not going to be able to reach a goal because your nutrition's off. And that's
Right.
kind of going to figure it out. Like if you want it, you'll just fix the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So that is pretty much all we have for our first episode. Do you have any parting words?
No, not really. Just that I'm excited to start this. If you guys are interested in learning more about us, you can find us on Instagram, Chasing Strength, Kilos and Closings. Or if you're interested in setting up like an in-person appointment, please feel free to contact us. I know I'm a little far away, but I always welcome visitors.
Yeah. And Matt is working at a fantastic gym. They just redid it, and it just looks amazing. There's great equipment and everything. So it's definitely a good place to go visit. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to comment it, and then we'll either answer it right there. If we think that makes for a great topic, we'll just make another episode on that.
That's another one, topics. If you guys have any really good topics you want covered, we're trying to keep this as simple as possible. There's too many people making things very complicated.
Yeah.
I just want simple answers to simple questions. Doesn't have to be simple questions, but we'll give you simple answers.
Yeah, that's our job. But thanks for listening, and tune in next week for our next episode.
Sweet.